To all distinguished guests present at the hall, on behalf of Center for Diplomacy and Development, let me express my huge thanks and appreciation for your presence here. CEDT was established nearly a year ago, but we have been effortful to host several programs aimed at furthering the nexus between our people and international community here. One of the main objectives of CEDT is to generate positive energy to our country for accelerating economic development. May I therefore inform to our distinguished guests that will surely bring positive results in the country. Nepal is changing and going forward, keeping pace with the global scenarios. We in Nepal are seriously thinking that we cannot brook any. Nepal has been pursuing an independent foreign policy. Geographically, we have been sandwiched between two Asian giants, both on territorial and populational perspectives. Nepal has maintained a balance between the two. Topical importance. Nepal takes with serious concern the emerging on the topics, and we will present these to our government for consideration. On next note, I do think that in our country, following steps are inevitable to enlist the process of economic development. We must have peaceful and stable efforts of the government will play a catalyst. I would like to close my remarks thanking NIC Asia Bank, Nepal's number one Shangri-La. Nepal definitely needs action-oriented programs.
United Nations, Mr. Kofi Annan, Chandra Acharya, former Foreign Secretary and former Secretary of Nepal from 2007 to 2009. He was Under Secretary General of the United Nations and High Representative to deliver today's keynote remarks.
Distinguished commentator fellows in the dais, excellencies, distinguished audience, colleagues, ambassadors, as well as different representatives from the diplomatic missions based in Kathmandu, and ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor and privilege for me to be here today to talk about emerging challenges and opportunities of Nepal's foreign policy. I think I've been speaking on these issues in vernacular media and others for a while. So I just wanted to give a little bit brief idea about how I am looking at the foreign policy at this particular moment. I think we are at a crucial turning point in the conduct of our foreign relations. There are big changes taking place in Nepal, and there are also big changes taking place almost at the same time around us, global level. There is also a very important change that is taking place at the regional level. I think therefore, this looks like a very important particular point of time. If you look at our own, the stabilization period, if you like, and then moving towards if you look at the Western countries, the analysis as well as the countries in the East, that you see that the focus of the global power is slowly shifting towards the Asia-Pacific region. That is very, very clear. And when you look at this overall, the framework in which we operate, I think we have to be very careful, and we have to really fully grasp what are the implications for us, and what are the positive changes that we have to really push for, and what are the negative changes that we have to really make sure that they do not overwhelm our interests and expectations. I think looking at the region again, we all know that that both the India and China are rising powers. We all know that. But of course, the China is not only a regional power. That is a long-term projection. At the moment, I think we have to really understand that the whole the concept of this rising, the global powers and the established global powers are really trying to find their place in the global order, and then also increasing their influence. And then we have to really make sure that we really are in good contacts and good terms with each of the major players around the world. When I say the major players, I think naturally when we look at our foreign policy, we start with India. Of course, our relationship with India is historical, it is very extensive, but we also have to make sure that our relations really very, fully understand how this is going to affect the global order. We have to make sure that we have the variety of relationship diversification of relationship with China. That is very important to really promote our own strategic choices. It is very important to look at Nepal's choices. The two neighbors are very important for us. There is a historical relationship, there is an economic relationship. How to really make sure that we do not become a playground for either India or for China. I think this is one of the very important dimensions of our foreign policy, and perhaps we should have a further dialogue on those issues, a much more multi-stakeholder dialogue at all levels. This is very important for us. For the landlocked and the least developed countries like Nepal, having a strategic options is very, very important. Diversification of our relationship. When I say diversification in all areas, in political relation, in economic, the major powers and the other partner countries. We have to really look at. I used to say that we have 6 angles of Nepal's foreign policy. The first is India, second is China, the third is developed countries as a whole, and then of course fourth is United Nations and multilateralism as a principle, and the fifth is the labor-sending countries and the many other countries which are helping us through the providing resources as well as employment to our people, and the fifth is the rest of the world. We have a long way to go. Therefore, I think it takes, as we all know, that it takes two to tango. National leadership is critical, but equally important, and maybe as a part of a mutual accountability, I would say international support is really critical. And when I say international support, it has to be all aspects. It is a foreign aid. Of course, we all know that foreign aid alone will not develop any country. It has not developed any country by foreign aid alone. But then, I think when you look at the economic support that we are seeking from the international community, it has to be a combination of all. The foreign assistance, the trade, investment, technology transfer, and then of course the remittances, because they are really critical. We have a very fragile and vulnerable economic situation. I think sometimes we only talk about our opportunity. Yes, there is a big potential, there is no doubt about it. We have human resources, we have natural resources, there is nothing that we can really complain about. But the point is that we have not been able to really develop it. That means what do we need? We need institutions. This is one of the big challenges. We need good governance. That is also a very big challenge, looking at the corruption index as well as the many other indexes. We have a long way to go, institution development. And if you look at the competitiveness index, there is also a long way to go even in that. So there is a linkage between this good governance, this strong national we have is very typical and is very, very fragile and vulnerable. That's what I was saying earlier.
State of affairs in the world and the region, and also the future perspective. What I would like to start with is 2 things that we have to keep in mind. One is the notion that we are a small country, which we are not. We are 42nd or so in terms of population, and 91 or 92 in terms of size. That makes us very much a middle-sized country. See some of the points that he has raised regarding the changing world. The world is changing, that we all know. The economic and the political power is gradually shifting towards the east, day by day. Now, what is our main opportunity? I would say that the main opportunity is being situated in between the 2 biggest and most promising countries in the world, that's China and Nepal and India. That is our biggest opportunity. We have to make the most of it. And a few things, organizational things. We need to have a vision. In the conduct of foreign relations, we need to have a vision. Then we have to plan. First we have to have a vision, then we have to have a plan, then comes the question of execution of the plan. For that we need to improve our mechanism. This has to be emphasized, and I think there has to be a general consensus that the foreign ministry is the focal and pivotal point for our international relations.
I is saying the emerging challenges of Nepal in the given context. As mentioned by Mr. Acharya, we have both challenges and opportunities, and the government of Nepal should transform those challenges into opportunities. But how, that is the question. In my opinion, there are emerging 4 challenges which are in line with investment.
To attract foreign direct investment in Nepal, and for this also, the foreign policy of Nepal is crucial. Currently, the government is under tremendous pressure.
Conflict, border conflict. And we do have the distinct perception on the relationship between India and China, than the reality as well. I would like to mention and ask the panel that how would the Lipu Lake issue, how would you explain on the Lipu Lake issue? Undermining the Nepal's sovereignty by India and China. Thank you.
I'm from not government background, but I'm from tourism and aviation. And I look around and 80% of attendants here, learned people, they're mostly from government. So maybe the questions have been very much centered around government. So I would like to just add one.
Was discussing Lipu Lake, how it had an impact. Now, this is one of the things that we really have to be proactive. This is what we have to really now anticipate. We not wait for the results to happen and then react, but we should be. This has given a lesson to all of us that we should anticipate what things are going to happen if there are regional. This is one of the things that we were talking about. That's why we are, in a very dynamic and a fluid situation that we are in now. There is a need for more in-depth, continuous analysis. Especially when you look at the triangular and quadrilateral relationship, you should not only look at your relationship with that country, we should be able to analyze how the other country is having its relationship with the third country, which might have an impact in your country. And this is what I was saying, that this cross-relationship, the study of cross-relationship is really very, very important. And this is one of the examples of that. I think we have learned a little bit of a discussion, only bilateral. Third country issue, discussing only bilateral, making some arrangements is absolutely.
I was thinking, if I were in 1960s listening to my teachers at Tribhuvan University on international affairs courses, because I was, I think, one of the first or second batch students who specialized in the field of international affairs but went to the other field. So I remember my teacher, what he taught, and also when I listening to his political economic aspect of the talk, I was remembering my teachers in Boston area where I had the opportunity to take few courses in political economy. So thank you for helping me to refresh my knowledge on international affairs. Privileged to be with Kedar Bhaktashreshtha, which negotiated a major treaty with India. He was our team leader. I was a team member then, but unfortunately that treaty has not moved far, and that is still a sticky treaty. It remains a sticky treaty between Nepal and India. So I remember hours and hours spending at Sital Libas, spending hours in the night how to negotiate with India and negotiate it next morning, but things have not happened. Having said all this, let me, since I'm asked to share my thoughts, let me share my thoughts on the theme emerging challenges and see. Let me touch point by point, complementing or supplementing some of the points which were. First of all, let me touch upon the opportunities to recap. First, we have to have a sound foreign policy. There are research institutions in the country and there are experts in the country. Let them be used, whether they are within the government system or outside the government system, for the sake of the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your remarkable presence and thoughtful remarks. On this note, this first half of this program has, and I'd like to start the second half of this program. Next year, we all are preparing for Visit Nepal Year 2020 with a vision of tourism for people, peace and prosperity. Now, I'd like to introduce you some of iconic personalities whose contributions in tourism promotion and development. The founder president of Center for Diplomacy and Development to offer garland and present the letter of felicitation to these heroes of nation.
Which Nepal has followed for a long time, has played a key role. We were been able to play an effective role on our foreign policy during the time of World War II.
Después de un desfeo.